Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you how I use some of my scraps, and I thought it would be so fitting to decorate the trash can, little desk trash can that Lots of Style sent to me that I'll show you below. They sent me this super cute little desk trash can. It comes with like little trash can baggy rolls. It's so cute. So I thought it would be so fitting to decorate that trash can using scraps, and I'm the craft scraps. So, I mean, there's just so much we can do here. Okay, and so the font I'm going to be using today is called Confetti, and I actually got it from this Maker's Gonna Learn, which I'm so excited to be partnering with them in December. They're basically like a crafting platform. They have fonts, they have videos and courses and projects and cut files and all this fun stuff. So I am going to be using one of their fonts, and I do have a unique coupon code with them that will get you some cash money off of your membership. I'll link that below if you're interested, but I'm going to be using this hand-lettered confetti font from them that I downloaded. So back to the craft. So I'm going to start by making a text box, and you can see I already have my font chosen here. This font is so freaking cute. I'm obsessed. So I'm just going to start by typing the craft scraps. So that's going to be the top of my trash can, and then I'm going to make another text box that's going to say scraps. So I'm going to be making a craft scraps text box or trash can. So I thought that would be so cute. And then the scraps part is what I'm going to try to attempt to do in the scraps from the vinyl scraps that I have. I feel like we're going to be seeing scraps a lot. So that is basically it. So now I just really need to size this how I want. And so my trash can is about 6 inches wide. So I think I'm going to make this top piece about 5.5, I think 5 inches. So this will be like smaller, and then I'll have the scraps really big below. So it's about 6 inches wide, and then about 5 inches tall. So I think this will be a pretty good size. So it'll sit about, this needs to be a little bit smaller. So it'll sit about here. So I think that will look super cute. And so I'll do the craft scraps in a different color vinyl, and then this one I'll do in a bunch of fun colors. Alright, so now that we pretty much have our text how we want it, just so our machine knows that I'm going to be cutting this out in a different color, I'm going to change the color right up here just to like a red or something. It doesn't really matter because I'm not going to cut it out in red. I just want my machine to know I'm going to cut out in a different color than this scraps down here. So it will tell my machine that I'm going to be using 2 mats. So I can come over here to make it. So you can see we have our scraps mat ready to go and the craft scraps mat ready to go. So this one is the one where we'll be playing with a bunch of fun scraps. So you can see we're basically going to need to put scraps in about 6 by 4, a 6 by 4 little range. So we can hit continue. So here we're just going to be, it's going to find our machine. We're going to be using my maker, but you can use whatever you want. And for both of these, we'll cut it on the vinyl setting, just regular pressure. So I'll switch you guys over to the camera so you can see what we're going to do. Alright, so these are some of the scraps I'm going to be using for my little trash can here. So basically, like I said, I'm going to need to fill a space that's about 6 or so by 4, And so when I did this the first time for a trial run, I found that the best way to do this is to kind of make just straight lines of scraps. I tried it initially and I was just like haphazardly putting scraps that were like different sizes and like shapes everywhere, and it was kind of a mess. So honestly, the best way to do this is to kind of do like long strips of scraps, and I think that is kind of like just the easiest way to do this, that are all kind of like the same shape and the same size, or at least like the same like shape. So just like all straight lines, kind of like strips. So that's kind of what I'm gonna do now, is these like pieces of scrap, I'm just going to make straight lines with them, or you know, as straight as possible. Because if there's some gaps there, it's not that big of a deal. So no real like rhyme or reason, I'm just kind of like doing colors that I like, that I think will work. Alright, so this one I'm just gonna And so at this point, I'm just kind of making sure I get all of my colors in that I want, and because I only have a certain amount of space. And just for good measure, I'm going to put one more piece of pink down here just in case it kind of goes over. And just because my mat is not very sticky, I'm just going to kind of tape down this edge over here just to make sure everything stays put. This is completely optional because my mat is just not very sticky. All right, so I'm gonna get all these scraps out of the way. All right, so now that we have our scraps on here, we can just load our mat like we normally would. And once it starts blinking, we can cut. And we'll see how this cuts. Alright, so we're just gonna unload this. Okay, so now for the craft scraps portion where it just says the craft scraps, I'm just gonna be doing this in black. This is 651, so again, permanent vinyl. Alright, so we have our vinyl on our mat, so we'll just load it like we normally would. And we will cut. Alright, so we can take this off of our mat, and so now we can start to weave. Alright, so to weed out our fun little scraps here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go line by line and just kind of get rid of the excess vinyl in between each of the colors here. So you just want to be careful because sometimes, or you know, obviously this is not a perfect science, so this like overlapped right here, so there's like a little bit of where this pink is on the teal, but it's not that big of a deal. So just be careful when you're kind of weeding through these is basically all I'm trying to say. And again, this is kind of like an experimental project here, so you guys are in this with me. So I'm just weeding this though like I normally would, just weeding out the negative space that I don't need between each letter. And so you can see I'm even going to start to use my little trash can. Cute. Ah, this yellow. I don't think this pink got cut at all, so yeah, I'm just going to get rid of this because this did not get cut. I just put that there as just in case it went lower than just removing some of these scraps. I'm just gonna move this down a little bit to where it should be, just so I can lead these. All right, so we have our scraps, and so now I'm just going to weed out the craft scraps part of our trash can. And this, again, remember I just did this in all plain black just to make it easy. And again, this font is from Maker's Gonna Learn. It's called Confetti. I will link all the information for that below. All right, so basically my thought is that this will go here and then these scraps will go down there. So first I'm just going to trim this a little bit. So I'm going to put this part on it first and then I will do the scraps after. And so to transfer this, I'm going to use this masking transfer tape that I got from Auntie Tay. It is Expressions Vinyl Transfer Tape. So I'm just going to take a piece from this, and basically this is going to help me transfer my vinyl onto here very easily. So I just put the masking transfer tape right on top. And I'm just going to peel away the carrier sheet. And I'll put that S on after. So I'm just wondering, should I like offset this and do scraps here? Should I do it all? I think I'll do it all center. All right, so I'm just going to put this where I think it's as center as possible. All right, and then my S will go like right there. All right, so now I'm just going to scrape this down. And then I'll peel away the transfer tape, leaving my vinyl, and I'm just going to put this S on manually. Because sometimes just, you know, just things don't go as planned. All right. So we have the craft scraps right there. So now this is going to be the tricky part. All right, so now the tricky part is we are going to try and get all of these scraps off in one swoop. So I'm going to again just take a piece of masking transfer tape. And I'm just going to trim this just so I don't have to waste this whole piece here. So I'm just going to tear this piece off. And I'm basically just going to set it right on top like I normally would. And I'm just going to peel this up and see what comes up with it. So if one of these like little middles of the letters gets left behind or something, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to peel off whatever will peel off, and if anything's left behind, I'll just manually place it on there. All right, so now I'm just going to start to peel this off. So you can see I'm just kind of helping the vinyl stick to the transfer tape a little bit. Just because, remember, I'm keeping it on the mat, so it's pretty sticky still. And again, like I said, this is kind of like an experimental project, so definitely there's probably different ways to do this. This is just how I've done it, and I know it takes a little bit of time, but it's fun. Okay, so the only part is this little P that I want to try. If I can get it to come with it, I'm going to try. All right. Ah, this is like, okay. So we have our scraps on our transfer tape. It's not perfect, but it's pretty dang close. This, I'm just going to see if I can adjust this. All right, so now we can get rid of this and we can put our scraps straight on. And again, I'm just gonna kind of put this down in the middle here and just scrape down like I would with, you know, any other vinyl. And I'm just gonna peel away. Super cute. All right, so there you have it, our super cute little trash can. I will link where you can find this trash can below. I do have a code for it, and I hope this was helpful. If it was, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and as always, happy crafting!